Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the meeting of the Outer North East Community Committee. My name's Councillor Norma Harrington, and I'll be chairing today's meeting. The Outer North East Community Committee covers the Alwoodley, Harewood and Wetherby wards, and is a committee where ward councillors have an opportunity to discuss and make decisions about services and priorities for the local area. Also considering funding applications for local community projects and youth activities. Could I now invite members and officers to introduce themselves? And I'll start with Elaine.
Elaine Matson, Localities Officer.
Jane Patterson, Programme Manager in the Communities team.
Councillor Sam Firth for the Harewood ward.
Councillor Neil Buckley, Alwoodley ward.
Councillor Lynn Buckley, Alwoodley ward.
Good afternoon, everybody. Councillor Dan Cohn from the Alwoodley ward.
Hello, Ryan Stevenson, Councillor for Harewood ward.
I'm going for good evening rather than afternoon. Councillor Alan Lamb from the Wetherby ward. Yeah, evening. Yeah, Graham Slater, resident of Scholes.
Councillor Penny Stables, Wetherby.
Good evening, Toby Russell, Clerk to the committee.
Thank you. And can the clerk please run through agenda items 1 to 5?
Thank you, Chair. So agenda item number 1, no appeals against the refusal of inspection of documents. Item number 2, no items that would require the exclusion of the press or the public. Item number 3, there's been supplementary information circulated, and that's for the finance report. And under agenda item number 4, apologies for absence have been received from Councillor Robinson. And under agenda item number 5, can I ask members to declare any interests? No, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So there is a period of 10 minutes that can be allocated at each ordinary meeting for members of the public to make representations or to ask questions on matters within the terms of reference of the community committee. Do you wish to make any comments?
Yes, I would like to speak.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to actually thank our ward councillors, in particular Councillor Stevenson, for his superb efforts to get the railway bridge painted, repaired and made to look presentable. It's something that unfortunately the parish council were not interested in taking up, and it was left to a couple of residents and the Skulls in Bloom team. And it's really through the efforts of Councillor Stevenson that we really must thank him for his efforts. I'd also, whilst we're thanking people, like to thank Councillor Firth and Robinson for the arranging for the playground equipment for older children to be installed in Scholes. Again, this was offered to the parish council who turned it down, but we were able to get it installed within the school. And so at least the children of our village will be able to use the equipment at some time, but not obviously during evenings, weekends or holidays. The final thing is that we recently got traffic lights on the A64 Scholes Lane end. And again, this was with the help of the ward councillors. And it's become apparent that this is creating a litter problem. It's something I hadn't thought of, but apparently when cars stop at traffic lights, it appears to be an ideal time to dispose of plastic bottles, drinks cans, and everything else. And I don't know what can be done, but the amount of litter has substantially increased in that area, particularly heading westward on the A64. Also within that area, we still have some road traffic signs left over from when the traffic lights were installed, triangular signs with various warnings on. Can these be moved?
Thank you very much. Microphone off, please. Thank you very much. Councillor Firth.
First of all, thank you very much, Graham, for those thanks. Well, I just want to say one thing. It wasn't the fact that the parish council turned it down. It was that we were having discussions and we couldn't, because the parish council has handed back the playground, as you well know, to the council. We couldn't fit the equipment into the playground that the parish council would have liked it to go into. And therefore we had to take a decision to not lose it from the village, given the severe impact that you and other residents of the village have had to deal with over numerous years with the e-law, the equipment that was intended for the e-law but was inappropriate at the moment, given it was to be next to a building site for the next 10 years, for it to then go into the school. But as I've said otherwise to you, definitely we are exploring other options to hopefully ASAP replace the aged and much needing improvement playground on Station Road in Skulls. And the other thing I can certainly say is I will make sure that we report both of those other issues about the traffic lights and get on that as soon as possible.
Thank you very much. So the next item on the agenda is the minutes of the previous meeting held on the 11th of December 2023. Can these be accepted as a correct record, please? Yeah, everybody's nodding, so that's good. Are there any matters arising from the minutes that members wish to raise? Looking around, everybody's shaking their heads. No. Okay, thank you very much. Item number 9 is the update report, and I'll invite Elaine to present this item.
I take it that you've all read the update report. I'm just wondering if there's any questions from anybody regarding the content. And is there any updates from the champions regarding your themes?
Councillor Lamb.
Yeah, I thought we were just doing a quick update on the cluster, the EPOS cluster, because for some time we've been struggling, and it had kind of reverted to being more of a family of schools. And I think Councillor Stevenson and I attend the cluster, and it was feeling less and less worthwhile. So we've been working to try and reinvigorate things. We had a meeting about 6 or 8 weeks ago, and Sergeant Standen attended from the police. We had Lynn Cherry from the youth service, and Helen Wilkinson came from the health sector, and they've all committed to come and rejoin. And the hope is that we can actually reinvigorate things in the cluster. I've been having conversations with senior officers in children's services as well about getting some extra support. And it's been very well received by the schools, and by the targeted services leader and the family help teams. So the hope is that we can kind of get back to the good old days as they were, when we really could get wraparound support to families who really needed it, and take a lot of the pressure off schools dealing with social care issues and things. So it's a real good step in the right direction, and hopefully that's going to continue through this year and beyond. And there's a few other partners we're looking at as well that might be able to come and help.
Councillor Stevenson, is there anything else that you want to add as the Children and Families Champion?
Just very colloquially, just to say that we've just approved, or we had recently approved, the funding for the second version of the Jubilee Games, which was such a success 2 years ago, and it remains our ambition, although it was birthed in the Harewood ward, that it might spread across the outer north east, and then hopefully at some point across the city as well, because the legacy it gave was important, but also the opportunity for young people to engage in sports not usually covered in the curriculum was incredibly powerful. So we shall report back after the games, which are the end of July this year.
Councillor Lamb, is there anything you want to say from Environment and Community Safety?
We probably haven't had the level of meetings that we should have had during the year. I think it's fair to say, and that's something. One thing I would like to say is actually to thank Elaine for the work that she's done since joining this, supporting this committee, which has been absolutely fantastic, and really helped us to focus and prioritise our efforts. And I'm very confident that things like the Environment and Communities Committee will really go from strength to strength. And we, Councillor Stables and myself have been involved in trying to set up the accessibility group in Boston Spa, which there have been various iterations, but having Elaine's help and support is really getting good focus on that. So you've been a real welcome addition to the communities team here, Elaine. And if anyone tries to take you off us, then they're going to have a fight on.
So, well, the next one on the list, if we just go through, because if you may not have had a meeting, but some of us have. So employment, skills and welfare, Councillor Firth, has there been anything from that? You might not have had a meeting.
We haven't had a meeting, but thank you, Chair.
Health, wellbeing and adult social care, that's me. Unfortunately, the meeting clashed that Councillor Arif held last week, but she has assured me that she will send me the notes of the meeting and then I'll be able to pass them round to you when I get them. So I think that was most of those. Are there any other questions in that section of the report? No. Okay. Moving on to housing Leeds, are there any issues that anybody wants to raise on the report about that? Possibly thinking of Councillor Buckley. Was there anything you wanted to say about that?
Chairman.
Page 25.
Well, can I just raise something that's on page 22? It's just a technical query, actually, which Elaine will be able to sort out, I'm sure. Section 25, item 25, the flu and COVID update. I wonder if we can get rid of the COVID update now, because the vaccination programme has ended, and to all intents and purposes, I think everybody wants to put all that behind us. So personally, I'd quite be happy to delete that from the information.
That's noted, Councillor Buckley. As far as the HAP goes, on page 25, section 40, Elaine has noted that the Outer North East Housing Advisory Panel's last meeting took place on the 14th of March. There were some issues of communication with the HAP members, which myself and Councillor Buckley actually raised at those meetings. But the situation is that, yes, the HAPs are now dissolved. We understand that there may be some small amounts of money which will be given to the housing officers in the housing teams to do with as they think is suitable within the housing areas. But there is also the issue of, I would like to put on record for the community committee our thanks to all of the councillors over the years who have attended those HAPs, who have been many and numerous, and the residents who have consistently turned up to those meetings, because there was a lot of time and a lot of investment in that process. So I'm very sad to see that it's actually finished, but I hope that there will be some consultation going on between the housing officers in the future. There is nothing to say that as a community committee, we might not at some time in the future consider that maybe we would like to invite some tenants to come to this meeting. But I would like your views on that, and maybe you could let me know that outside of the meeting. Okay, thank you. Are there any? Sorry, Penny.
Just a query on HAP. We had the information through about which funding had been agreed in terms of the last bits of HAP monies. Could we get a report? Could we get something that says which ones weren't accepted, the ones that have been put forward, so that we can then follow up on those, please? Thank you.
I'll make sure I get those, Councillor Stables.
So we're now going through to, where are we? Employer engagement. Are there any points on that? That's page 29 of the report. And then the page after that is ward members' meetings and town and parish council forums, if there's any points on those. Yes, councillor Cohen?
Yeah, just in terms of ward members' meetings, and it's something that I do think is important to note. There are increasing circumstances where officers seem to believe that ward members' meetings are an option. That if they fancy, they'll come along. But if something more exciting comes up, they'll send their apologies. And frankly, it's not good enough. I'm going to channel my inner councillor Proctor here, because he'll always be Councillor Proctor to me. Will you just shush? Because officers are here to serve the council and the council laws. Without the councillors, there isn't a council. We constitute the council, and we give decision-making powers in the annual meeting to officers. Without that, they can't buy a staple. And if councillors have requested the attendance of officers at a meeting, and it is in good time and diarised, it is simply not good enough, illness accepting, that officers prioritise another meeting. It's just not acceptable. And as a bare minimum, if they can't make it, they should ensure somebody else comes in their stead, suitably briefed. The Parks team have now on 3 occasions sent apologies to ward members' meetings, and there are issues that we need to raise with them. And my suggestion, Chair, is if it continues to happen, that we bring the appropriate directors to this meeting and they can explain why they don't feel ward members' meetings are suitably important. And given that these meetings happen in an evening and are less convenient to making a ward members' meeting in the middle of the day, I would suggest that is perhaps the easier route for officers to bear in mind. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, councillor Cohen, that's noted. So town and parish council forum. Elaine, did you want to say?
The last town and parish council forum took place on the 19th of February. We've agreed to meet again in June, and they have agreed to theme the meetings. The theme for the June meeting will be transport. Parish councils are reminded to actually put the nominations in for what they would like going forward for the future themes.
Thank you. The first.
Could I just ask on the town and parish council forum situation? Obviously, we know it's a rolling brief given the concerning nature of the situation with our buses, among other things, and the momentous decision taken last week by the West Yorkshire Mayor. Could I just ask, will we make sure that certainly it's just, is it an update, or how will it proliferate in terms of how will it be different from the previous town and parish council forum, but one that we had about a similar subject?
Well, Transdev were coming back with the news about the consultation that they'd undertaken, and that's what they were coming back to update us on.
Fantastic.
Okay. Right. Anything else on community engagement? No. Okay.
What number, sorry, rather than page, what point number are we on?
We're on page 30, and because Elaine has written the report, the idea is that we read it before we actually come to the meeting, and then if we have any issues.
Appreciate that. Rather than page number, we can tell you what item number you're on. Not on looking around here, I can't see those page numbers.
Oh, okay. Well, so the next community engagement was 66, consultation and engagement is 67.
Right, thank you.
Yeah, okay. Are there any other issues on any of those points on that part of the document? No? Okay, thank you very much. So agenda item number 10 is the finance report. So again, Elaine will present that item.
I hope you've had a chance to have a look at the finance report. Just with regards to item 20, The community committee is asked to note there's currently a remaining balance of £41,357.79. We have provided in table 1 a breakdown of those projects. There's a couple of wellbeing one that is available for approval, which was the project for Wigton Moor Woods, the provision of an embankment slide in the Old Woodley ward.
Oh, Woodley Ward councillor, yeah.
Two things. Has that cost snuck up while we were snoozing? And also, were we not going to use the capital pot to fund that?
Councillor Cohen, I have included capital within it.
It says it there.
I will clarify the costs again with Parks and come back to you.
It even says capital in brackets right next to it, doesn't it? See, just would pay attention, Councillor Cohen, please. Read the question. Wonderful.
So we're happy for that to go ahead then, all Woodley councillors.
On behalf of the Woodley councillors, we approve the Buckley slide.
We've also been asked to note a couple of projects that were approved previously, which is solar panels, litter bins, and a small grant for living local kitchen upgrade. The Youth Activities Fund remaining balance is £15,940.43. And again, we've included a breakdown of the activities that have been funded over that year. There are some projects for approval. We have the Leeds Rhinos multi-sport and drama camps in Old Woodley. We also have the Leeds Rhinos multi-sport camp in Wetherby, and then the Shadwell Tennis Club in Harewood.
All Woodley councillors again, you're quite happy? Yes, you're all nodding, so that's fair enough. And Wetherby Ward councillors are happy with the Wetherby one, yes.
We also had a late item for the Breeze, Wetherby Breeze in the Park to take place in this summer 2024. Just checking for approval.
Item, councillor.
Sorry.
Yeah, it only went out this morning, but it's Wetherby Ward. Yeah. It's Wetherby Ward, yeah. So Harewood are happy with the Shadwell Tennis Club proposal.
Absolutely.
All right, good. And then Wetherby councillors are happy with the Breeze.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
The remaining capital budget is £33,895 and a penny. There is no SIL budget either for this committee. Any other queries regarding finance?
Councillor Coe.
Yeah, I just want to, it's a note really that one of the projects within Old Woodley that we are very keen to take forward is a fairly significant refurbishment of the park, children's play park, just off King Lane next to Old Woodley Primary School. It's a major project we've been working on. So while we are bringing forward a simple scheme of putting a slide in the Wigton Moor Park, we have made sure we have some funding on the side to do a far more substantial piece of work with a number of partners, hopefully in the next year, at the park next to Old Woodley Primary School. I don't want residents to think, oh my goodness, they're doing the slide. Does that mean we're not going to get our more substantial refurbishment? Because it's a park that Neil, Lynn and I have been working on with housing, with parks. So we've put some funding on the side, but given the expected cost of that, we'll need to work with partners as well to get the money in place. Thank you, Chair.
Are there any other questions or comments about finance? No? Okay, thank you. So, wow, we're powering through tonight. So the agenda item 11 is dates, times and venues the next meeting, Toby.
On that previous item, Chair, you mentioned about the pot of money that's going to be going to the housing department. Is there any sort of accountability to find out what they're going to be spending money on? Because in a variety of cases in my lengthy time on the HAP, we found that a number of applications were coming from the housing department for things that they weren't funding through their own budgets. And I just wondered whether that might be the case again, should they be deciding the situation rather than focusing on tenants themselves and their needs.
I don't think that the level of funding is going to be enough for anybody to argue about much, Sam. But I don't know whether Jane or Elaine have any more information about.
No, we don't, but we can certainly ask the questions. As far as we're aware, the housing manager will have the pot of money to use, but like Councillor Harrington says, I don't think it'll be very much, but we'll find out.
Item 11, Toby, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. It's just the report for the dates for the next year. I'm sure you read them, but I'll just read them out. It might be useful for anyone watching at home. So we've got Monday, the 15th of July, 2024, 5:30 p.m. Monday, the 7th of October, 2024, 5:30 p.m. Monday, the 16th of December, 2024, 5:30 p.m. And Monday, the 17th of March, 2025, 5:30 p.m. So it's just if members have any comments or any amendments to the dates, and then we seek to approve them for the next year.
Appear to be any comments, so they're all approved. Yeah. No, the venues will be, that's an ongoing situation, as you know, Councillor Firth. And until we can actually get live streaming from any other areas, they will continue to be in this building. That subject is part of the community committee's review process, where the community committee's review people will be feeding back at various points in time. There are still some more, there's one more workshop I think that they're going to do with a committee that we're dealing with that. And then there will be some other information coming from them. But as far as we're aware at the moment, it's the status quo. Okay, thank you. As that's the end of the meeting, I'd just like to say thank you to all of the councillors who've been here for the last year, and that I hope that we see as many people back here around this table at the next community committee meeting. Thank you very much.